Oh, hello, this is Tak Chung from Walk with Tak. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Ever since I have retired from being a college professor, I become very interested in promote health through home cooking. I have been teaching cooking classes for the past 3 years, with the main goal is to increase vegetable consumption in American households. From my personal experience, I understand how difficult it is to eat enough vegetables. The primary priority of my cooking classes is to help people to cook vegetables that is both simple and delicious. In today's video, I'm going to take you through one of my classes. My cooking classes are audience participation classes. You do not just sit there and watch me cook because I'm going to have you do the cooking. So, okay, are you ready? I'm going to have you to be one of my students. I'm going to have you get behind the stove. Don't worry, even this is going to be your very first time to cook with a wok. I'm going to walk you through every single steps. In my cooking class, you will be working with a gas burner. So I'm going to first have you turn it on and then adjust the heat so you know how to make adjustment during cooking. So in this lesson, I'm going to have you to cook a vegetable dish with 6 different kinds of vegetables. So I have all the vegetable prep sitting over there in this table. I'm going to give you 6 bowls and I'm going to ask you to pick out 6 vegetables of your choice. I want you to pick one of the vegetables to be your main ingredients so you can pick out more of this particular choice. The remaining 5 vegetables, you can pick them in different amounts as you would like. Since you are not here to pick them, I'm going to pick them for you. Okay, I'm going to pick the eggplant as your main ingredients. Oh, I'm sorry if you do not like eggplant. For the companion ingredients, I'm going to pick carrot, sugar snap pea, zucchini, yellow squash, and portobello mushroom. I then ask you, you would like to have some meat to go over your vegetable dish, served as a condiment. I have given you 3 choices, chicken, beef, or shrimp, and you decide that you're going to pick shrimp. Now we have all the ingredients ready. They are all in plastic containers and they place right next to your cooking station. So okay, we are almost ready to cook. The first thing we're going to do is that we're going to cook the shrimp first. This way we can control the texture of the shrimp and cook it to exactly the way how you like it. The first thing I'm going to ask you to do is to turn on the stove and set it to high. At this point, you let the water heat up for about maybe 30 seconds. And then you use the squeeze bottle right next to you to put in about 2 tablespoons of canola oil, just about cover the bottom of the wok. I then want you to watch the oil very carefully. Once the oil starts to smoke slightly, I would like you to turn the heat to low. I would like you to have the oil to smoke very gently for about 15 seconds. The exact time is not important. This is a time when the oil seasons the wok, and I call this method the spot seasoning method. The shrimp I'm going to use in cooking this dish are large shrimp. However, I cut them into small pieces. There's 2 reasons for me to doing that. One is that make them cook a little bit faster, and secondly is that it actually gives better flavor to the dish. Okay, I then ask you to put the shrimp into the wok. Immediately, I suggest to you, why don't you start stir-fry the shrimp right away? I noticed that your stir-frying action comes naturally. The goal is that keep moving the shrimp around and toss them whenever you can. I told you that it is important to remember in stir-fry, the heat is located in the bottom of the wok, and the goal is that recycle the food ingredients over the area. When the food is cut into small pieces, it allows them to cook really quick. In about 30 to 40 seconds, I asked you, do you think the shrimp is ready? You seem to be a very good judge. You said, well, maybe cook a little bit more. In another 10 to 15 seconds, we both looked at the shrimp and agreed that, well, I think it is done. Okay, now it is done. You turn off the burner and you set the shrimp aside and put them in a plastic container for later use. We are not going to wash the wok. We're going to just continue cooking. Now you notice that there are some things stuck to the bottom of the wok, but that's okay. We put the wok back on the burner and we turn the burner back to high. I'm going to ask you to add a little bit more oil from the squeeze bottle, just enough to cover the bottom of the wok. Okay, now we're ready to cook the vegetable portion of this dish. The first thing we're going to cook is the carrot and eggplant, because both of them takes longer time to cook. I'm going to first have you add about 1/2 cup of carrots into the wok, followed by 2 cups of eggplant. Right away, I'm going to have you stir fry the eggplant and the carrot for about 30 seconds. I will mention a couple of things to you while you are stirring. First of all, is that please notice that the eggplants and the carrots are cut in thin slices. This is important because the thickness of the ingredients determine how fast that they are going to be cooked. This method of stir fry by adding ingredients in different order is known as sequential cooking. You will cook the items that takes longer time to cook first, and then gradually add the other items that require shorter cooking time. At this point, we both noticed that the eggplants look rather dry. It turned out that the eggplant suck up oil readily. So I asked you to use the oil squeeze bottle to add some more oil into the wok, particularly over the eggplants. After you mix in the oil with the ingredients, the next thing to do is that I ask you to add in the sugar snap peas. After quickly stir fry the ingredients in the wok, it looks like you might need a little bit more oil. So I ask you just add a touch more oil. So far so good, you are doing great. The next ingredients we're going to add is the zucchini and yellow squash. Since they are very similar, so we can add them together. You then stir fry the ingredients for about 30 seconds. During this time, I will tell you that you can stop actually cooking at this point if you like your vegetable on the crispy side. This is where you can make a decision how you're going to like it to be. If you want your vegetable to be more tender, then the next step is for us to steam the vegetables. I then ask you to do a taste test and let you decide what you think the texture should be. You told me that you would like the vegetable to be a little bit more tender, so I said great, so we are going to steam it next. We are going to steam the vegetable right in the wok by adding some water. I'm going to ask you to use the water squeeze bottle to just add enough water to cover the bottom of the wok. I suggest to you not to add too much water because we can always add more. If you have too much water, you tend to dilute the flavor. Once you start the steaming process, you don't have to stir it that often. As long as there water is in the bottom of the wok, the food will not be burned. However, you do want to stir it regularly so that all ingredients will be cooked evenly. As you are stirring some more, you look at me and said, hey, this looks a little bit dry. Shall I add some more water? And I said, sure. After more stirring, the ingredients look pretty nicely cooked. At this point, I ask you to add the portobello mushroom to the wok. The reason we add the portobello mushroom last because it cooked very quickly. As soon as we add the portobello mushroom, we both notice that it sucked up a lot of fluid in the wok. At this point, to compensate for the fluid loss, I ask you to add some rice wine to the wok. Mushroom and wine really go well together, and it pick up the wine rapidly. After stir the content for about 30 seconds, the mushroom has pretty much incorporated into other ingredients. This is about time for us to flavoring the dish. I ask you to do a quick taste test because you can test the ingredients at this point and know what it tastes like to start out as a reference point. For convenience, I'm going to have you season the dish with my basic seasoning mix. I ask you to put a little bit on the palm of your hand so you can taste it and know what it tastes like. Based on that, I'm going to ask you to add whatever you would like to the dish. After adding the amount that you think you will make the dish taste good, I ask you to do another taste test. You look at me and said, it tastes good to me. So we are done and we are going to move to the next stage of the dish. I told you that we can pick up the dish the way as it is with a light sauce. On the other hand, we can make a thicker gravy, which will go very well with rice. So in order to make the gravy, we're going to add a little bit more water and let it simmer for a little bit. I'm going to use the quick way to make the gravy by adding the cornstarch directly to the wok. I ask you to turn off the stove before we start to add cornstarch. I then ask you to clear the ingredients in the wok to find some space that you only see fluid. I then ask you to sprinkle half tablespoon of cornstarch directly onto the fluid. You then use your wok spatula to mix everything together. At this point, I ask you to turn the stove back onto low. The heat will help the cornstarch to gel and form a thicker consistency of the sauce. When we look at the sauce, we both agree that it is too thick, so you add a little bit more water. With few more stirring, we notice that the fluid is probably in the right consistency that we would like. I ask you to turn off the stove and the dish is ready. You then transfer the ingredients from the wok onto a serving plate and then you top it with the shrimp that you have cooked previously. We did a quick taste test. Everything tastes amazing. Great! You have just finished your first class in my cooking school and you did excellent. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you would like to receive notifications of my future video postings. See you next time.